I just finished reading the article that ran in La Presse about what Tasha Kheiriddin had to go through when diagnosed with something that obviously had her worry because, as the article says, you know what, the words you don't want to hear from your doctor of, it might be cancer. So Tasha Kheiriddin is on the line. First of all, Tasha, thank you for being here. As I said, I just finished reading this again, and I'm sitting here going, it doesn't make sense. And when I say it doesn't make sense, number one, the fact that you have to go to a place like Vietnam to get this thing done in a timely fashion. And secondly, that, you know, something that turned out positively for you in the end is something that the Canadian government is warning Canadians against, and that's medical tourism. So let me start with your particular situation and walk us through what happened in that decision to go there and have this done.
Sure. So back in May, I started noticing that I had some health issues, pain in my abdomen, digestive issues, and then in June they got pretty bad. I saw a doctor who said that I probably had fibroids and that they needed to examine via ultrasound. And it showed that I had 2 large fibroids, the size of a grapefruit. They weren't small. And that was causing these problems. So off I went to a specialist, a bit relieved because those are usually benign. And he floored me when he said, well, first, before we do anything, we have to make sure this isn't cancer. The reason he said that was because of my age. During menopause, these don't usually grow. So estrogen is what makes them grow. So there is a small chance, small, very small, but still they had to know. And the only way to do that is to get an MRI, which would show the type of growth that it was. And so then, of course, it began, well, you know, let's get you on the list for the MRI. And then I was told, well, it'll be at least a month, 30 days at least to get the MRI. And I was considered an urgent case because this, if it is cancer, this kind of cancer can double in size in a month, literally. It's a very aggressive cancer if it's a leiomyosarcoma, as it would be. So I was kind of horrified by this. It's like I didn't want to wait a month. That was very, agonizing to think about. I was also just supposed to go on a holiday, which had been booked 4 months before, to Vietnam. And so I was debating whether I should go. And then I thought, wait a minute, the light bulb went on. I said, I could probably buy that MRI in Vietnam. Like, I bet I could. And so I did my research, and guess what? I got on the plane, and the next morning, I was in the hospital meeting the doctor. In the afternoon, I had the MRI. And the day after I got the results from the doctor, I had booked it on an app on my phone 2 days before. And I was able to send the results to my doctor in Canada, who then immediately booked me in for surgery when I returned here. Because
he felt it was immediate. You had to do this immediately, right?
Yes,
you said the surgery.
It did not show cancer, but at the same time, it showed anomalies, and the growth itself was actually worse than we thought. It was affecting all my organs inside. It had attached. I don't want to make people.
No. That's fine.
But it was bad.
Okay. My first question would have been, make sure I understand this. So you would have had to wait a month for that MRI here. Could you not have booked it privately here within the system?
So no, here I'm in Ontario, and I know in Quebec people have said, well, you could have done it here. Perhaps I could have gone to Buffalo, I suppose. But the thing is, sometimes I've heard they don't accept private MRIs, first of all, in the system. And second of all, like I said, I was about to go on this holiday anyway. And so my question, that's why. But the point is, ever since I've done this, when I went to Vietnam and I saw the hospitals there, which quite frankly, they do put ours to shame in many cases, the way that they treat patients, the quality of care. When I had the surgery here, my doctor said to me the day after, he said, I'm really glad you got this done in Vietnam because it's better than the ones we do here.
Wow.
About the MRI. He said the quality was better, the technology, like the imaging was so good that he knew exactly what he would encounter when he did the surgery, and it was a complicated surgery, and it allowed him to, make sure I didn't have any other complications. So when he said that, that's where I really thought, this is just crazy. Like, I would have waited here for something that wasn't as good, and I would have been agonizing. And if it had been cancer, that would have been really bad. And then I did a bit of research, and I found that you've got over 400,000 Canadians who are going abroad for this medical tourism, as it's called, and it's for a variety of things. Some voluntary, like plastic surgery, but others like dental surgery in particular. That's a big one. But things like hips, knees, back surgery, you name it, stuff that is covered by our system, they can't access it quickly enough, and so they leave.
By the way, you point out in your piece as well, in terms of cost here, that's going to be a surprise to people as well as how inexpensive this ended up being, right?
Yeah, it was $250 for the MRI and $50 to see the doctor twice. Now I had to fly there, so of course there was this plane ticket. But at the same time, like it is, their costs are very low. I've actually, interestingly, since this piece came out, I've had a huge number of reactions to it, and doctor that I was on a radio panel with said that the technology is actually even better. The reason it's better is because they are quicker to adopt new technologies. Here, Health Canada puts us through our paces for safety reasons, but sometimes, she said, it really goes overboard and it denies access to cutting-edge technology because it over-tests.
Yeah.
And she said that's, by the time they accept something here, then the machine there has been, engineered twice as well.
Right.
Again, it's second generation. So
I want to point one other thing in here. You said blood tests were ready in 2 hours, not 2 days. But the part that really stuck out to me was where you write, there were no signs asking patients to, quote, respect the staff. No one yelled at anyone. The doctor even gave me his personal email to follow up with. I mean, that's remarkable. Yeah,
she did. She gave me her email, and this was the doctor I saw, because then it was a question what I was going to do with the surgery, whether I was going to do the surgery there. I could have done the surgery there the following week with the top specialists they had at the clinic or the hospital in Hanoi, this particular hospital, $3,600, including a 5-day hospital stay, and they would have done it in a week. So I then did not. I decided because my doctor could do it here, the recovery is very long, so I said no. I'll do it in Canada, but I could have done it there. And like you said, yes, I had to go follow up with blood tests at another hospital in another small town actually in Vietnam. 2 hours. They were ready, and you wait here 2 days to get your results.
Yeah.
Nope, it was fast and on my app immediately.
So you mentioned you've gotten people have read the story now reaching out to you. You talked about how many more Canadians are now doing medical tourism. Yet, as I said off the top, we're being warned here about that idea of just for Canadians to go because maybe you shouldn't consider doing it. It's potentially dangerous. I mean, this has obviously changed your opinion on that.
Yes and no. I think that you have to. There are risks to anything, and one of the risks of doing something somewhere else is obviously, like in my case, the recovery is very long. So you think, do I want to be in another country where I don't speak the language? That's the thing as well. Though most of these hospitals, they do speak English, but still dealing with a long recovery time. Sometimes surgery can be very complicated, and the thing is too, you do get what you pay for. These are private clinics or private hospitals. So you have to make sure that they are, you do your research and make sure that they are legit and that they are good quality. And, and in Vietnam, honestly, there was no shortage of really high quality healthcare. Some places you hear horror stories for, people trying and save too much money. If it's too good to be true in Canada, it probably is in Mexico or anywhere else too, right? So you have to do your homework. But I think the government, the irony here is that some of this stuff could be, if we had more private healthcare here, those dollars could stay here because it's, like I said, the cost of the MRI was cheaper, but getting on the plane wasn't. So if you do the math for other types of things, it would probably be to people's interest to get some private surgeries and other things in Canada.
Amazing. When you stop and think about it, you were lucky, right? You were going there on vacation anyway, just everything kind of fell into place. But even for people here, imagine you start booking your vacation around medical work you want to have done in another country. Yeah, go to the beach one day, go to the hospital the next. That's kind of an interesting proposition. I'm glad it all worked out in the end, and it is a bit of an eye-opener, I'm sure, for Canadians. So it's great that you did this, went through the experience, and been able to tell other people about it. That's great news all around. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Aaron.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. Tasha Kheiriddin, who's, of course, columnist for the National Post. If you want to read this, the piece I'm referring to was in La Presse. But if you're, thinking about this, and Tasha mentioned, by the way, she went, to have this particular surgery done or the MRI done. But there are people flying all over the world now to get everything done, whether it's hair in Turkey or, a hip replacement somewhere else. It's happening a lot more. I think she said the number of Canadians who do this now is up 44%, medical tourism, from only 2 years ago.